That's where we are back with another video. Yes, sir. And today we have another great talk incoming with Antonio. So, Antonio, is there anything you want to say before we get into the topic at hand, or anything you want to promote?
Promote my Twitter. My ad is at Baker Mayfield, 2 D's, and the L is a capital I.
Dope. And I'm gonna have it somewhere on this video. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, and I'm gonna have it down in the description box below. So
yeah,
Antonio, remind me to add a link so I can put that there. But I've been waiting to talk to you for a while, right? With all this interruptions, all this stuff that's been happening, I've been wanting to get your take on how this offseason went, right? Because we got Denzel Valentine, we got Evan Mobley, we got Ricky Rubio, we got Larry Markin. So how do you feel about this offseason, right? Like how would you rate this?
I feel the offseason was okay. I feel like so we got Evan Mobley, who's gonna be our franchise player most. I feel I like that, and we got Ricky Rubio trade. I kind of like that because he's on an aspiring contract, so his big contribution is going to matter to me. He can provide veteran presence, which we need for the young guys. He can play make, which we also need. We didn't give up that much. And then with the Larry Marketing trade, I wasn't fully on board with it, but I guess I'm starting to work on a little bit of it. Larry Marketing, I think the last 2 seasons hasn't been that good. He averaged 19 this 1 year. But the last 2 seasons, he also hasn't had an assistant role. He was under Jim Boylan, who didn't know how to he didn't use him correctly at all. And he was under Billy Donovan. Yeah, what I heard from Bulls fans was he wasn't that good. He can provide shooting though, which we need. But my main thing is with the contract is we're paying a guy $17 million to come off the bench. That's why I don't get.
Huge problem.
And I'm not sure he deserves $17 million. Also, what else was I gonna say? So basically, I feel like there's just better options out there. I guess it's all right move, but the main concern with Larry Nance, even though he provided a lot of value on the floor, was we needed some kind of offense, which Larry Nance was limited on that front. Larry Marketing replaces that, but then again, $17 million coming off the bench. You got all this money locked up into all these big men. You got Kevin Love getting paid this enormous amount of money, and you also got Jarrett. You just paid Jarrett Allen. And I know the Kevin Love situation, his agent said no buyout, and no one wants to trade for him unless we're attaching assets, and that's just not really a smart move because the Cavs are rebuilding, and realistically we are Cleveland, so I mean. It's not like people are gonna dying to come here with that cap space. We also have to pay Colin Sexton, and then you have to pay Darius Garland. So the money situation is going to be very, very difficult. So yeah, that's my take on Larry Market. And Denzel Valentine move, I don't like.
I don't either. I really thought he was tall. But when I looked up and seen he was 6'4", I'm like, oh my God.
Denzel Valentine, he just been really, really bad. Like I just don't understand why we even tried to sign him. Like all I heard was bad things about him. Like he would just take stupid shots. I think this one video I watched on this thread, he was dribbling up, and there was like, I think it was like almost the end of that quarter, almost the end of the fourth quarter. He just took a stupid shot. He just dribbled up, just took a stupid three and airballed it. I'm like, what are you doing? And I just don't. I feel like a guy we could have got was Garrison Matthews, who's a very good shooter for Washington last season. And I know they looked at him, but that was the guy I wanted, not Denzel Valentine. But I guess the offseason was okay. So really, now to you, how was the offseason in your house?
Me, I give it a B minus by default, like, because at the same time, I know, I've had a weird relationship about talking about Koby Altman, but I cannot be blinded to the fact that he did trade for Lauri Markkanen. He did trade for Ricky Rubio. He did sign Denzel Valentine. Now, am I like you? Like when you said, do I think Lauri Markkanen is worth that much money? I don't believe that either, especially now off the bench. If that's what they have planned for him. But I think I give it a B minus. I still think it is some things he has to answer. I think he left us with more questions than answers. But I think that's where this season he's going to have to correct a lot of those things, right? Which on that subject, though, and I'm like, this season, right? Like, what is your expectations for this season? Like, knowing that, you're not really high on Denzel Valentine. You're high on Rubio, though. And you feel like the Lauri Markkanen situation is a little weird contract-wise. Like, how you what's your expectations of the Cavs? Like,
well, I wanted to add a little bit on the first question. So, on the first question, sorry. So with the whole off-season thing, my thing is, okay, I get it, Relly. You said he made moves, okay? My thing is, okay, I get it. Koby Altman made some moves, but in my eyes, was it any moves that was eyeball outside? Like, in my opinion, I was wanting a move that would propel, at least in my eyes, a roster to at least a play-in team or a playoff team, because we're in year 4, and I think we're supposed to be, we should be at least a play-in team by year 4, or at least in the playoffs. I'm looking at the roster right now. I'm just not seeing that. I'm trying to find. I can't find many teams that were, well, actually, there hasn't been just a move that I'm wow, this team might go somewhere.
But let's be real here.
It's just all questions and answers right now.
I agree with that too, but let's be real here, because we've had these arguments before, right? Where I personally told you I felt a certain type of way about how Koby Altman approaches situations, right? And we've been in arguments that we felt like Koby, maybe I'm just too harsh on Koby Altman, but this was the criticism I had with Koby Altman. Like, did we really expect him this offseason to really, let's not even say blockbuster trade, but a trade that would really change the trajectory of the team? Like, at what part of the season has he shown us that he was going to make those type of moves? Like, even, let's say Andre Drummond, right? A lot of us was anticipating that Andre Drummond was going to get moved some, right? Unfortunately, we ended up waiving him, right? And because we ended up waiving him, I mean, we got him for nothing. Like, we traded, we got Andre Drummond for a bag of chips, but we didn't expect to lose him for literally nothing. You get what I'm saying? So, I think you have to grade Koby Altman on a totally different scale, especially under the past 2 seasons we just seen him. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And my thing with Koby Altman is like honestly, I kind of like expected like some trade that would propel us and propel this roster and to making me think this was a legit playoff team, playing team, because I thought the pressure's on for Koby Altman. He has to win. Dan Gilbert and like Dan Gilbert's on his back, breathing down his neck. He knows his job's on the line right now, and I just haven't seen that yet. Well, it remains to be seen if we can trade for who, which I'll mention later in the video. But I just haven't seen a move that has done that yet. But the offseason's not over yet, so maybe.
That's why that question to really ask you, like, what is your expectation of the Cavs? Because me personally, I think this might be the most active season Cleveland might have had in a while in terms of trade. Well, it has to be, right? Because we have so many, like you said, like we both agree, like we have so many more questions than we have answers, right? We don't know who's going to start on the big man. Like we assume Evan Mobley's going to be the starting forward and Jared Allen at the 5, right? We know we got Colin Sexton, Garland, but is they going to start Rubio some games? You get what I'm saying? Because he is a starting caliber point guard. Then we got to ask yourself, are they going to put Isaac Curl at the small forward starting, or are they going to put Seti at the small forward starting, or will they try Lamar Stevens sometimes at the 4? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, because I see the Cavs, if healthy, possibly winning 30, 35 games. You get what I'm saying? And that might be high, but I think we really can win those. But that's where I really wanted to ask you those type of questions.
Yeah, my expectations for the Cavs this season, look at the roster right now, is they'll make progress. Right now, I don't see them as a playoff team or a playing team because I compare us roster to everyone else in the East. They're better than the Magic, yes. Pistons, maybe. And then I look at everyone else. The Pacers, no. In my eyes, I look at the Pacers, the Hornets, the Bulls, the Wizards. Some of these other teams we're gonna go into battle with and with the play-in. And I just I'm having a hard time thinking I'm having a hard time thinking, are we better than those teams? So right now I expect maybe 30 wins, but maybe the 12 seed.
12 seed.
Yeah. And in my opinion, this is the season where everyone needs to be seriously evaluated because especially Koby Altman. Because you know how I really feel like JB Bickerstaff I don't really feel like JB Bickerstaff should really be on fire, unless he does something crazy. But maybe maybe Koby. Oh no, it is got to be Koby Altman. But really? Well, yes, because look, especially for Koby Altman, look, it's his 3rd season to this rebuild. Well, not counting the other year with LeBron. And so far, outside of the year with having LeBron James on the roster, he's had 3 losing seasons. And like you said, Relly, earlier, that at least we show for GM to stay lose, you show some regression. I haven't seen that much progression to maybe a caveat for Koby Altman to stay. But in my opinion, Dan Gilbert's probably looking at Koby Altman's resume right now. It's just not looking good. 3 straight losing seasons. with like 19 wins and 20 wins, I think 21, and he's probably thinking to himself like, oh, we gotta start winning games. It's year 4, and there's a report earlier this offseason about him looking at his resume, studying his resume, and I feel like there's a pressure on to win this season or he's out of here. If he doesn't win this season, he's out of here, because Dan Gilbert, he isn't a very patient guy. Well, he's been patient for his rebuild, but there's at some point he's gonna be like, bro, I need results. I need to win games. What are you doing for me, Koby Altman? What are you doing for this team? What is the direction for this team?
Yeah, I agree with that full-heartedly. Like, I think Cleveland has built that reputation. Well, Dan Gilbert, like you said, has built that reputation. He's not patient, right? He want to see something, and it is something you said when we was talking, where you did say, even though, you know, JB might not necessarily be the one that should be fired, he might end up being fired too. And thinking about that now, that might be absolutely 100% right. You get what I'm saying? I feel like Dan Gilbert might be in a situation where he might clean house just because he can. And now, do I think he should? No. I do think Koby Altman should be under radar. He should be in the hot seat, because you have to ask yourself, like, has he made the best decision? Like, yes, he's made some really great decisions, right? Like, you know, getting Andre Drummond in the first place, signing Kevin Porter Jr., well, you know, drafting Kevin Porter Jr., drafting Dylan Windler, taking a chance on Taco Fall, getting that Jared Allen trade, which was a huge release, right? But then you got all this other stuff too, like how he handled the Kyrie trade, how he handled the Kevin Love trade, how he handled Kevin Porter Jr. Trade, how he handled Andre Drummond's trade, you know, how he's handling his current roster currently. It's like, you know, do you think Koby Altman has done enough to really secure his spot as general manager? And honestly, like you said, I agree with you. I don't think he has, right? I think Koby Altman this season, if he don't make some legitimate moves, to your point earlier, I think he really is going to be fired. Like, because I just can't see him in a situation where he extends Colin, potentially extends Garland this offseason. And then we already gave Jared Allen $100 million, and that means that's the core. That's who we think we want to go into the offs with, right? And we just barely won 30 games with that. So it's like
21 games.
That's how many we won last season?
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Let's see here. How many did we win? So we won 22 games last season.
That's not good. Because I think last season, I guess we technically improved, but I think last season we only had 18, 19 dubs the season before that one. So, you know, that's not really good.
And then going back to your point about JV Relly, this is my point with JV. Look, personally, I'm not sold on JV. But the thing is, Dan Gilbert, because I know he's not patient. Like, this is my point with JV. Like, Dan Gilbert is gonna want results, and he will. And if he doesn't get it, he will fire anyone in his way. He's just not a very patient guy. In my opinion, JV is not safe either, because like I said, he's gonna want results, and if he doesn't get it, he fires the coach. But and then if they fire Koby Altman, usually the new GM is gonna want his own head coach, so you have to take in that that into a factor. So I just don't see like how like Dan Gilbert can be fine with be fine with no results from J Bickerstaff, like he's gonna be like, JB, like we need to win games and you haven't won me any games. Why should I keep you on here?
Honestly, in my personal opinion, I think that should be what a grain of salt with JB, right? Because especially, even though I agree with you, that is going to be the rationale. Like historically, that has been the rationale. But I think under these circumstances, especially after last year, like you can't really say that because it's like last season, right? The beginning of the season, that was probably one of the best starts Cleveland has had in a while, right?
Yeah.
And it was setting the tone defensively, which is something we have not statistically or historically been able to do on the defense, especially when we was undersized too from the beginning part of the season, right? Then of course, as the season progressed, we started getting injuries, then COVID, then protocols. We couldn't play, these games, you know what I'm saying? That started messing up the flow. We started dropping defensively. Then we start going back up defensively, but then our offense became really, really stagnant, right? Our shooting was really stagnant. Anybody that watched those Cavs games realized if you wanted to see an offensive game, you wasn't going to see that watching the Cavs game, especially from the perimeter. Like, it was just, and I don't know if I can really blame JB. Now, like you said, do I blame him for some of the pick and roll schemes he's made? Yeah, because there's been some times where he has had some very suspect pick and roll schemes, even though a lot of it wasn't his fault, but a lot of it was, or some of it was. But in some cases when we had Colin Sexton and Andre Drummond running a pick and roll, that wasn't necessarily a good pick and roll, like, because especially with the IQ of Colin and Drummond, like sometimes Colin wouldn't even hit Andre Drummond on an open pick and roll. But at the same time, when he did hit Andre Drummond, sometimes he would do non-traditional big man stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's a weird fine line with JB, right? Because this season, I will agree, JB Bickerstaff with a full season, a healthy season, a full 82 season, he is going to have to show us some better schemes. But based off of what we've been hearing, they have added some more shooting coaches. They've added better offensive coaches, and they gave Darius Garland the green light. So it's like, now if this season, like you said, like if this season where you said all that and all of a sudden our offense is even worse or it's the same, then yeah, we got to look at JB Bickerstaff. You get what I'm saying? But if that doesn't happen, I don't think JB Bickerstaff is the coach we should fire.
Yeah. But my opinion, they gave this last season, they gave him a pass because of all the injuries and COVID. They're probably respecting the results this season. If that's not happening, then in my opinion, he's probably out of here. And like with the new, they fire Koby Altman, the new GM is probably gonna want his own coach. So that's the other thing.
That's true. So, I still got one last question for you, right? Mm-hmm. And the $1 million question, right? If you was the general manager of the Cavs, right? You was Koby Altman in this situation. What is one trade you would full-heartedly pursue to get the Cleveland Cavaliers back on track?
No, not a lot of people are going to like me for this one. But Relly, Ben Simmons. Look, just hear me out, Ben Simmons. Hear me out. Okay. I get it. He's on a good. Not a great shooter. But we need talent, really. We need some kind of talent on this roster. Okay, Ben Simmons would be the best player on this roster. He's a 3-time All-Star. He has All NBA on his resume. Who else in his roster can boast that? Besides maybe Kevin Love, but Kevin Love ain't that guy anymore. But I'm just saying, Ben Simmons, outside of his shooting, he provides so much more. His passing, his rebounding, his scoring is still pretty good. if the Cavs can build some kind of team that can fit to Ben Simmons' strengths and hide his weakness of shooting, I feel like Ben Simmons will elevate this team to a playoff team. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are not on board with Ben Simmons, but people gotta stop looking at that one playoff game because still Ben Simmons is still a good player. He's still a really good player. He's still really young. Yeah, I feel like people are just living in the moment of recency bias.
But do you think Cleveland is the team that can really build a team around them? Because you said it though. Like you're gonna have to pitch shooters around Ben Simmons. Like, can Cleveland do that?
And if they're really committed to trading Ben Simmons, then they have to. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just saying this. Ben Simmons will probably be the best player on our team. You people gotta realize that. Like, we need talent overall. The value he provides on the court is outside of his shooting is really, really good.
So, all right,
we don't have to run him at the point guard either. We can run him at the 3 or the 4.
Right.
And also his defense. His defense is elite.
So if you run him at the 3 and 4, what you do with Evan Mobley and Jared?
And
Larry Martin.
So in my opinion, someone in the starting lineup might have to be sacrificed.
So who is it gonna be though?
In my opinion, now people are gonna like this, but look, if we're trading for Ben Simmons, I'm sorry, Jared Allen, but if the dude, we need some kind of shooters, and Jared Allen just ain't that guy, and I'd rather have Ben Simmons than Jared Allen, in my opinion. I would trade Jared Allen, move Evan Mobley to the 5, move Larry Markin to the 4, and we can get something good back for Jared Allen, because Jared Allen's really, really valuable for a team. But we have Evan Mobley who could be our franchise center. And then we have Larry Markin at the 4, which 5 shooting, Ben Simmons at the 3, and then whoever we trade for, maybe some shooting. And we have Darius Garland.
Yeah. That's bold though, and low key, kind of visualizing that. I low key like that starting lineup though, because you said Ben, Laurie, and Evan Mobley at the 3, 4, and 5. I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie, I really do like that. And you said who's the 1 and 2?
I said Darius Garland. Well, it depends on whoever we trade Jared Allen for. Like we can trade for some shooters. Ideally, maybe run a Coro at the 2, but I would like more shooting around it. So maybe we sub someone else in. But ideally, we would probably have to include Colin Sexton in the deal, which I know it's a bummer, but I'm sorry, I would trade him for a deal for Ben Simmons.
I'm not gonna lie, that lineup, I'm not gonna lie, that low-key would be kind of enticing to see, because you talking about Garland. Let's throw a random shoot. Let's say Korver, just to say shooter. Let's say Korver, Ben, and Larry Markin, and Evan Mobley. That actually could possibly get us that 35-40 mark. I think that could get us playing at the minimum.
Yeah.
But It is a bold take though, because a lot of people would not see that coming.
Yeah, and honestly, in my opinion, really, I do have some questions about Stetson. And once we pay Colin Stetson, we're basically locked into this Stetson court. Really, as you know the history of small backcourts, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, outside of the Raptors who had Kawhi Leonard, I honestly can't think of like any small backcourt that like won a championship. Then we look at Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum hasn't won anything.
Exactly.
And the thing is, the thing is with small backcourts, this is not like, it's not like they are good defenders either, like Kyle Lowry. They're both they both have defensive limitations, and that's going to be a split in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I rather roll my dice in the playoffs with Ben Simmons, with a core of Ben Simmons, Mobley, and Garland than running with Stetson and Mobley.
I agree. I like where you're going at with that. I'm not gonna lie, because like you said, guards under 6'2", historically, especially when you got two of them at your point guard and two guard, historically has not been worked unless you had an elite wing.
Yeah.
And the elite wing usually was 6'7" taller, right? That's where you, like you said, Toronto's, whatever team Brown was on, you know. But even still, they didn't run a two small guard lineup. Even still,
well, they had Lowry and Van Vliet, so they had
but then they would still alternate those. Like they wouldn't like even though you know they did play a good amount of minutes, but they would alternate a lot. And a lot of people might even argue if Golden State may have been healthy with Kevin Durant, that small ball lineup, at least with those two guards, wouldn't even work.
Also, I like the Utah Jazz. They haven't gone past the second round. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley haven't gone past the second round.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Matter of fact, even Phoenix, they got to the finals, and one of the biggest reasons why they couldn't compete is because they just didn't have the size, right? Like you had Milwaukee, who literally from point guard to center was huge, was mobile. Denver, huge. You get them, Dallas, huge. You know, they have a 6'7" point guard in Luka Doncic. In this era, it's like you said, it's imposterous to have two undersized point guards. It's just and win. You know, like you can get in the playoffs, you know, because especially if they're talented, but to win a championship, if that's your goal, or even Eastern Conference Finals or Western Conference, is really, really hard. You got your exceptions like Phoenix, they did it, but unfortunately when they played a bigger team, you know, it didn't work. And a lot of people, including myself, would argue if let's say Los Angeles Lakers was truly healthy, or at least had a full offseason to heal, I don't think they would have truly beat the Lakers. You know, like it's a lot of teams I don't really think Phoenix would have truly beat. I don't think they would have truly beat a fully healthy Clippers. You know, like it's a lot of teams in that Western Conference I think they got the benefit of the doubt of. But, you know, like you said, historically, 261, 262 guards doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's just unfortunate. It just don't work.
Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, in general, I think we need to trade for some kind of star. But Ben Simmons is the latest one in the market, so I feel like I mentioned him. But Relly, who would you trade for?
Well, I'm gonna say this quick because I see the little timer ticking. But if it was me, I would. Even though now that you marketed that, how you kind of got me sold on that Ben Simmons now, or at least that lineup looks the same. But honestly, I would trade for Cam Reddish. I like him. I would pursue him, right? Because I feel like he's the most realistic player to get, while at the same time he has the most realistic model for our system, right? Because Cleveland, we don't have a franchise player, and because we don't have a franchise player, you can tell Cam Reddish, hey, go out there and hoop, and if you show us something, this could be your team, right? And I know people argue maybe Colin Sexton's a franchise player, but he's not necessarily.
In my opinion,
franchise.
Evan Mobley's a franchise player.
Already?
Well, he will be.
Well, you think potential? Okay, okay, yeah. I can see that too, but we have to see. I think Cam Reddish. Oh, if we trade for him, I think you have the chance.
I like Cam Reddish, Relly, but going back to the point, we know why Atlanta is trading him, right? They can't pay him.
Exactly.
But Relly, we have to go back to the Cavs. Can the Cavs pay him and give him adequate minutes?
Yeah, that's true. For the Cavs, I don't know about paying him. That will be difficult, but I think giving him minutes, yeah, because we don't really have a small forward. We don't have we picked Isaac Okoro, who is undersized at the small forward. I think he should be a 2-guard. Dylan Windler, even though he got the height, I don't think he has the weight, and I think he also is a shooting guard, right? Like, I don't really think our small forward position is locked.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't even think our number one option scoring-wise is locked right now, because you got Garland just this last season who was on pace by possession to be on what Colin Sexton was doing, but just slightly more assists. So it's like, I really think it's up for grabs, Antonio. Like, yeah. I really think, like, the more I watch these, because this perfect example, speaking of Chicago, right? Chicago, when Colin Sexton was out, they ran a rotation of Darius Garland at the 1, Isaac Okoro at the 2, I think Seti at the 3, and I can't think of who they ran at the 4, but they ran a Jared Allen, right?
Yeah.
And offensively and defensively, we was killing Chicago. Like, Zach LaVine couldn't do anything because now I feel like Isaac Okoro was at his true position, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't necessarily stop Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine was like 8 for 22, right? And we beat Bulls, right? I think honestly, I think that system runs better with Garland at the 1, and I think that system runs better with Isaac Okoro at the shooting guard.
Yeah. Going back to your point, Relly, the thing with Colin Sexton is, I get it. He did average 24 and 4, but the thing is, you have to look at it. We're going to have to pay him big money, probably.
Yes, we are.
Really, honestly, in his position, he's pretty undersized. He can't guard big shooting guards.
I agree.
You're locking yourself into a duo who has both defensive limitations, and it just doesn't roll just doesn't flow that well with me. Like in the playoffs, that's just gonna be barbecue chicken for the offense, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna put Colin Sexton guards for pick and rolls every time, and they're gonna exploit them. They're gonna exploit them on defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. But all that being said, though, because we only got a minute before they kick us out, though.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for joining me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I can't say join me. I'm gonna also have your link and your Twitter handle down in the description box below. And I would love to have you on here again so we can talk more about these Cavs, especially throughout the season. I think it would be dope for us because I think we both really watch the Cavs. So I think this would be dope. So you got any last remarks?
No, I don't.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
That's Atlantis with that money.